Today I'm going to demonstrate and talk about several techniques to reload your pistol, including the forbidden technique, what I call the magazine spank. I'll explain why I think it should be forbidden and why you probably want to avoid it, so stick around. There are several ways to reload your pistol. There are good ways to reload your pistol. There are acceptable ways to reload your pistol. There are emergency ways to reload your pistol. And then there's ways that I think you should probably avoid, a la my forbidden technique. All of the techniques I'm going to talk about today are for when your pistol is completely empty. I understand there's a whole school of thought that says never let your pistol run dry. That does sound great. You should also never get cold, hungry, tired, or wet. You should never engage in ground fights, and you should also never have anything bad happen. Look guys, I understand there's optimal. There are ways to reload your pistol where we don't completely run dry. But this is for that eventuality where that pistol does completely run out of ammunition and you've got to reload it and get back into the game or the fight. At this point, I've watched footage of so many gunfights and many of them have involved reloads. I understand those are mostly police-centric, but it's okay. The ones that I've seen that involve reloads have all involved reloads where the individual completely ran out of ammunition. Probably 99+% of them fall into that category when there is a reload. So that tells me you need to have a plan for when that happens. Nobody watching this is Tim Herron, so you need to have that plan. Now, Tim, if you're watching this, you obviously are Tim Herron. You keep doing what you're doing and kicking ass because you're awesome. If Tim Herron tells me he's not going to run out of ammo, I'm inclined to believe him, but he is better than most people. If you've watched any of his video, you understand his ability. That said, I bet if Tim completely ran out of ammunition for whatever reason, he could probably still reload faster than you. So let's talk about some techniques that you can use to get your gun back in the game. My favorite, in my opinion, the easiest one if you practice it all, is to use the slide catch or slide stop and send the slide forward again once you've got a new magazine in. It looks something like this. That works pretty well. It doesn't seem to cause any problems for most people. And if you are a lefty and have a gun that is not ambidextrous, you can just use your trigger finger on one of those older school guns. Although most guns these days have an ambidextrous slide catch or slide stop, so it's not really an issue for you. If you don't like the slide catch, you can rack the slide. Gross motor kids, the ones who are all like, I've got to use gross motor skills, they will probably gravitate toward this one. So you can rack the slide over the top. Or you can turn the gun horizontal and rack it or slingshot it that way. I think turning it horizontal is actually slightly faster. So if you are insistent on having the rack method your primary, I might gravitate toward that one. If you only have one hand available to you, you can rack the gun off of your holster. Or you can use the slide catch. So for whatever reason you're working one-handed, which can happen, then you have alternatives as well. Lastly, that brings us to the forbidden technique, a la the magazine spank. That is where you insert a magazine hard enough to where the slide pops forward and hopefully it picks up a round, puts it in the chamber, and you're ready to go. Now I'm sure you're saying, hey, I've used the magazine spank and it's worked fine for me. And so I'm not saying that you cannot use it, but I am saying that it tends to set up a chain of events that I've seen multiple times. Usually when somebody gets used to the magazine spank, sooner or later when they do the magazine spank, the slide doesn't go forward. And then rather than rack the slide or use the slide catch, they spank again and sometimes even again. So what we have there is a colossal waste of time. I see a lot of time getting burnt up by smacking the base of that magazine multiple times until the slide goes forward. There's also another issue. If you have a partial magazine, for whatever reason you're reloading with partials instead of full magazines, and maybe you're a gun gamer, like a limited 10, or you're running IDPA where you've got a 17 round magazine but you're limited to only 10 rounds in that magazine, sometimes the magazine spank does not result in a round getting picked up. If you look at my footage, you'll see that happen to me, and I didn't set that up, guys. It just happened organically. I was just putting a partial magazine in to complete that footage that I took, and we see that I end up having a malfunction. So here's the deal. I'm not telling you that you need to use any particular technique to reload your pistol. Depending on your gun, your physiology, your temperament, your standard operating procedures, if you're governed by such, you may find yourself reloading a certain way to get that gun going again. But I will tell you, of all the techniques that I've seen, the one I would completely avoid is that magazine spank.
It's a trap!
It's a bad idea, and it seems to cause a lot of problems. Anyways, guys, if you've enjoyed this, got anything from it, I'd appreciate all that YouTube stuff. Like is super helpful. Guys, take care. Stay safe.
Get him, Jay.